Welcome to this edition of Sprout Central. I'm Dennis Tynes, I'm your host, and we've got a great show planned for you today. We're going to talk about the election. There's a lot of things going on right now, and I feel like we should just talk about it on the show. Last week we had a really good guest on. We had the Tall Architects, Madison and Mark Talley, who are right here on Government Street, and they told us about what's going on in the community. They talked about the fact that there's a lot of construction right now, which is a really good thing. People are building, people are out shopping, and businesses are thriving in our community here, our secret coast, hashtag secret coast if you want to know more about Ocean Springs. But it just got us excited about helping people start businesses, to know that the community's thriving. You're hearing a lot of things out there right now that aren't good, and that's some good news. You're hearing, there's a lot going on with the election, and like I said, we're going to talk about that. And there are a lot of other things out there, and you're hearing a lot of negative news right now. So I just want to encourage everybody to just look around you. Is your life good? Are you able to go do the things you want and live the life that you want to? There's a lot less division in this world than people realize. There's a lot more reason to come together than there is to be divided. And our guest today is going to help us talk about that and about the election. Today, we have, I like to call him America's city councilman. He's the Biloxi Ward 4 city councilman. There he is, Robert Deming III. And he's a great community leader and a friend of Sprout. And he does a lot of good things for the community. So we're going to talk about the election with Robert Deming. And we'll be right back after this. Thank you for allowing us in your home today. Okay, we have a really interesting Sprout alert today. One of the things we love to get involved with, besides giving people great investment opportunities, are coastal tourism opportunities. We have one right now in Key West, Florida. If you're interested in maybe owning property in Key West, or investing in property in Key West, or just interested in a good investment, this is a really good opportunity for you. Just give us a call or email us and let us know if it's something you'd like to know more about. All right, we're back. And again, folks, I've got a little bad news to start off the show with. Joey's not here again. I think he's building his silversmith shop, and he might even be checking in later on the show. But we have our guest co-host again, Mr. 100%. He's always on time, and he always gets the job done. Connor Snyder's here today. Connor, we're doing the show, man.
$293.
200. Oh yeah, you're a trader. Well, I thought you only traded from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then you were a Street Team 6 captain at 10 o'clock.
Well, for pay like this, sometimes you have to work overtime a little bit.
Yeah?
Yep.
I hope you're making time and a half. Okay, well, put the phone away and let's talk about what are you trading? I mean,
absolutely. Well, today it was a big day for tech stocks and electric vehicle stocks. So you have your Tesla, which didn't increase much today because China-backed electric vehicle companies have their earnings today. So all of those, like you said, all ships rise with the tide. All of these stocks, they rose all together. Some up 25% today. XPEV is up over 20% today. And that's crazy for one stock to do that in one day. And so that's what I've been trading today.
So let me ask you this, do you buy a position in a company, or what type of trading do you do?
Well, you have your stocks, your normal stocks that you buy and sell, and many people that trade in the stock market, they do have that kind of capital to be exchanging it like this. So you're talking about $400 shares on at least $100 stock. That's a lot of money to be moving around. Well, the cheaper option and the more risky almost would be options. So you buy a premium to buy 100 shares of this stock. I only do calls. I don't really do puts, which is the opposite.
Yeah.
So you buy this premium, and it's a percent of each stock, usually a few cents or $1. And once you own that premium, you have the option to buy a stock at that set price. Well, if the stock climbs 25% tomorrow,
then you control however
your money
many
is
hundreds
now
of shares.
your money is now exponentially increasing. Not just the old trading and you make a little top off the top. This is so much more. This is exponential money. $293 in a day. You can't do that with under $1,000 on the regular stock market.
Yeah. So you're trading options instead of buying stocks, and there's two totally different things, right?
Absolutely.
You buy a stock, you buy a position. They call it a position in a company,
Absolutely.
and then you own a little piece of that company, or you can buy the option to buy, say, 100 shares at a, or however many, but I think it goes by 100, right?
Yeah.
And then sell the option for a profit.
Yeah.
Without
absolutely.
ever buying the stock.
Without ever owning the stock.
Right. So that's very interesting. I mean, it's an income stream, and as a young entrepreneur, you have, the ability to maybe earn $100 or so every day through trading these options, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think a lot of people at home would like to know more about that. Maybe we should hold some sort of a class and invite some people in, and have some, I don't know, iced tea and cornbread and teach them how to use some of these platforms and help them get going and trading options and stocks and things like that.
Absolutely. We would love to help people learn. I mean, there's tons of videos out there, but usually you have to pay for a premium on it. It's very expensive to get real solid advice on the market. So
right.
I would definitely be down to do that.
I like to do the things, the community classes, or like we held one time where people could actually come in and we wrote their business plan and all work together. And we also do something called the Sprout Community Night Out. You've heard of that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think we're about to plan a big community night out coming up. Right now we're working on, there, look at that. That's from a magazine we were in. I forgot the name of that magazine, but that's a bunch of pictures from one of the Sprout Community Night Outs that we had. You can see Jonah's in there and some other people. Joey's down at the bottom. But what we do is we'll have in community leaders and people, we kind of match projects with investors, and then we introduce, opportunities. So this is from a movie. And that's what we're going to do. Our next community night out is going to be a movie. This movie was called Easy Does It, and it was produced by Ben Matheny, who we're going to have on the show. And he had a great crew. We came in, had a big event for him. We called it the Sprout Soiree, and raised enough money for him to produce a great movie. I think he went on to put into some film competitions and win some awards. So what else do we have? Just, you can see we have a big gathering of people that come in, and I think that was right after the Meet the Professionals silent auction, where we had people, professionals come in and tell about themselves, and then people would bid on whatever the professional offered.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. And then, we had some, there's another picture of Joey, and that's a beautiful mansion that we were in for that particular soiree on the beach. So what I think we're going to do is, we've got a movie opportunity right now that we're, Sprout's looking at. We like to inspire and encourage wait, hold on, go back to that one. I want to tell about this picture. So there's the guy on the right. Have you ever, Elvis Presley, right?
Absolutely.
Elvis Presley?
Absolutely.
That guy on the right with his arm around my girlfriend is Red West. And he was Elvis's right-hand man throughout his whole career. He wrote some of Elvis's songs, and he was in a lot of movies himself, and even had a starring role in a television show. Well, we were working on a movie written by the bald-headed guy there, who also has his arm around my girlfriend. Oh. And we were in the process of getting all of the production together, and Red unfortunately passed away. He, became a good friend of mine, and I really liked Red a lot. Anyway, that's the Red West story, but So now we're working on a new Sprout Community Night Out, and have we picked the date for it yet?
I don't
No?
think corporate has done that yet.
Right. So what we're looking at is, we got a lot of things to deal with, like the limited number of people you can have into, and gatherings and things like that.
Looks like we'll need a pretty big venue then.
We might just get a big outdoor venue so people can kind of stand wherever they want to and feel comfortable. And there are a lot of cool, the Centennial Plaza in Gulfport's a really nice place for that.
Oh yeah, that would be perfect.
So we're going to have, here's the thing, if you want to be invited to one of the Sprout Community Night Outs where we meet, we may be working on a movie, or we may be working to help some, inventor or something like that, email the show or just call us. We love it when you call us on the Sprout number there and let us know that you want to be invited to a Sprout Community Night Out. And we'll put you on the list and send you an invitation to the next one that we have. They're a lot of fun. So, Connor, let's go ahead and have a look right now. I want to see what's your how are you doing on the stock market?
Well, Dennis, as you could see, I'm doing pretty good. I never usually go over $1,000. If I make over $1,000, I'll take it out. It's not worth betting your losses when you could take that money and put it into other things like high yield dividend stocks. And yeah, there's my
you're investing.
My profit for today.
Are you back higher than that now?
I'm about the same for the day because actually Trump tweeted earlier, and that really made Neo take a dip. And Trump tweets are famous, so you really have to watch them because they do affect the market greatly.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we're going to be talking about the election with our guest today, Robert Deming, and people are really divided in this country right now, and I really don't think that there's any reason for us to be divided as a country.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I love my neighbor, and I don't even know what to say about what's going on other than stop it. And let's stop and think about what's going on around you. If life's good here, then life is good.
Absolutely. We don't have a democracy, and we don't have a republic. We have a democratic republic. That means we need participation from both sides. If one side's not participating, that's half of your country not working for you. It's working against you. And if we're steady in a war, then no one's working.
I think we're being played against each other. We're going to talk to Robert about that a good bit. This guy is one of the top political experts. And I don't know how much longer. Clarence, how much longer do we have? Well, I want to tell you about it. He's one of the top political experts, in my opinion, in the country. He's so knowledgeable about it. And he's even gone around the country. He's about to release a documentary. I think it's going to be on like Netflix, where he just talked to American people and asked them how they felt about things. And we're not really all that divided. We're not. I think we're being played against each other right now, and it's not fair to us, to have to be at odds with our neighbor because of we're told, oh, you're supposed to hate this person, or you're supposed to not like this person.
Absolutely.
And these types of things. What is your age group thinking about that? We don't have much time, but I want to know what the young people, how they're feeling.
Well, I think they played a big role in this election, actually, because Biden was definitely after their vote, and he had a lot of social media ads that it was easy for you to sign up and go and vote. The website was there, everything was there. All you had to do was go sign up and vote. I don't think we're as divided as everyone thinks we are. We all have the same goals. We want the same things, but there's a few different routes to get there. We're all on the same team, but it's just half of us want to take one route and half of us want to take the other.
Right.
We can't do that. We have to see the good in both. There's checks and balances in our country for a reason. The president is not the sole owner of power in our country.
Right.
And it was set up like that for a reason. And another thing that I want you to talk with Robert about tonight is the senator elections.
We're about to wrap it up, so we'll talk about that during the break. Okay, we're about to go to our break. Thank you for watching, and we'll be right back after this with America's City Councilman Robert Deming III.
Audio Jungle.
Edward St. Pé with Nathan Prescott
Hi.
from Law Focus. Hello, Nathan.
Hey.
Law Focus, we have it every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. and then again a repeat performance at 6 p.m.
Sure.
So tell us, what is Law Focus all about?
Well, Law Focus is sort of self-explanatory, and it is a show focused on the law, but an ancillary sort of arm to that is that Law Focus involves the law in you. It involves how the law affects your day-to-day life. Through the shows, we've addressed the Landlord-Tenant Act, we've addressed trademarks, copyrights, constitutionality of issues, criminal issues, and even current events that exist in the law with different types of things that come up. So anything that involves the law and affects you is fair game for Law Focus, and we're proud of that. We try to put out new product a good bit.
Well, it's a situation that affects everyone. The law affects everybody, and we're happy to have this program. Thank you for being with us every week on Law Focus. That's Law Focus every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. on Ocean 7.
Thank you.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Okay, we're back, and you know, I'm always talking about how great we have it here on the Gulf Coast and in Mississippi, and the reason that I think that we have it so great is because we consistently elect great leaders. Today we have one of those great leaders on the show. We have attorney and city councilman Robert Deming. Robert, we're doing the Sprout DAP. Well, that's our thing on Sprout. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me and flattering me with that compliment. However, I tend to call myself a representative than a leader, and usually when I hear people talk about leaders, I think we're taking a perception of political elections improperly. We're elected to represent the voice and the will of the people. We're not elected to lead people. We're not supposed to make determinations of how you live your life. We're just supposed to duly effectuate laws that help and assist you in thriving in your life.
You just proved my point, because I couldn't agree with that more. That the elected leadership should help the people. And I know for a fact that you've helped a lot of businesses. I don't even know how long you've been the city councilman, but I have firsthand knowledge that you helped a lot of businesses get started and help the economy in your area. So keep up the good work there.
Well, thank you. That's what I ran on. I was an economist before I became a lawyer. And so when I chose to run, the other candidates were coming through the neighborhood knocking on doors, and I would talk to them, and they would ask me, they would say, hey, I'd appreciate your vote. And I said, well, hold on, there's a little more to it than that. And I learned that they had no clue on what Biloxi needed. I mean, we needed to grow economically. After Katrina, we lost, 10,000 people, which is a huge base for our economy to just lose. And so that leakage went somewhere. We needed to bring it back, and we had to figure out how to do it back. And the only way to do it back is to build more homes and create more jobs. And so we did. And that's what we've been focused on for the past, 7 years now. This is my second term. I'll probably run for one more term and then pass the baton to someone else.
Yeah. So, Robert, there's a lot going on in the country today, and I heard that you were out, making a documentary, kind of talking to the American people and taking the pulse and just shooting some footage and working on a documentary. How do you feel about what's going on in America today?
Well, you're right. I did travel the country: Houston, Philly, Baltimore, San Diego. We were all over it. And the documentary is tentatively called The American Conversation, and that's all it really is we're going from person to person, from state to state, from place to place, just to see what that temperature of the country is, to see how they feel things are going on in their life, how they feel about what government is doing at the local level, the state level, and the federal levels. And we didn't interview or talk to anybody that was a prominent person, no stars or celebrities or politicians or anyone that has really any influence on our lives other than them being some influential position.
Just regular Americans.
Average Joes. And it was interesting to go into black-owned businesses and go into white-owned businesses and to meet with liberal Democrats on the street and meet with extreme conservative on the right and meet with middle people and talk to them. And I did my best to stay extremely, biased or unbiased. I did my best to not give off any left or right-leaning ideologies, and it was hard sometimes, but we did. And I argued with Trump supporters, and I argued with anti-Trumpers, and I argued with everyone just for the sake of arguing, maybe because I'm a lawyer and I like to do that. But it was interesting to see how people felt, and the one thing that was common amongst everybody was government's doing too much. And it was interesting that they felt government was doing too much. Even when I was in the liberal neighborhoods, even when I was in the minority communities, they also thought, when we talked about certain things, they thought government shouldn't be doing that. And so it awes me when I see Republicans use the might and the force of the government to impose something on people. And then it also shocks my conscience when I see the Democrats do the same thing. And so what we've got now is two political parties that effectively use the will and might of the government, whether it's the state, local, or the federal, to impose their will and beliefs on people. And that's not the way this is supposed to be. Like I said, we're supposed to be representatives, not leaders. And we've turned that around. You know, we see this in today's society right now, and we see in our communities that this idea of the president being the most important election of our lives, and it's not supposed to be. The Constitution was written in the sense that he's only supposed to faithfully execute the laws of the land. He's the commander-in-chief of the military, which is fine, but he's not supposed to have any influence. He's not supposed to be able to tell us to wear a mask no matter where we go, or have some federal police force arrest us for not doing that. And I still am curious to see how they'll make that happen if, in fact, and I don't want to say President-elect Joe Biden, because there isn't one state that's certified the election yet. So there's no president-elect. No state has determined what their vote count is.
That's absolutely right. There's still not a president-elect.
So we don't know where this is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen with the Republican and the Trump legal challenges to all these different states, counting or policies, you know, stopping the votes, different things like that. There's a lot going on in our country, and it's going to be interesting. There's not a lot of prefaces for this occurring. We have no precedents at all for most of these issues or ideas that lawyers are drafting and presenting to these state Supreme Courts and the federal Supreme Courts. So there's an old Chinese proverb that says you never want to live in interesting times. And I promise you there aren't many more interesting times than right now in the United States.
So let me ask you this, though. You're out having the American conversation. Where's some common ground? Where do people, what are some key points that people agree on?
Well, one, believe it or not, taxation. The average person does not agree with the type of tax policy we have. I would say 80% of all the people that I talk to would agree with a fair or flat tax. They would agree that everybody should be taxed the same amount. Now, granted that we have a disparity in our society. There is an income disparity, and so you're still gonna have some type of progressive tax influence, because those that don't earn enough to even keep pace with those that earn more, when they're buying common goods, you know, that basket of goods, eggs, milk, bread, the way that they determine what our inflation is. So you're still going to have some influence from local, state, or the federal government when it comes to contributing to those that are at the lower income earners. But that's some of that common ground. Taxation.
Taxation is one thing. What other questions did you ask people, or other types of things did you hear as far as taking that pulse of the American people?
I typically let them lead the conversation. I let them guide me and the conversation where it had to go, because it was the American conversation. It was about how they felt. It wasn't about what I wanted to know about a specific topic. And a lot of the times, you know, it trickled, almost every conversation trickled into a presidential discussion, whether it was about Obama's reign or about Trump's first couple years in office. It always seemed to go there. And again, that's the problem. The problem is up top has too much influence on the bottom.
Right. Like you said earlier, the president, well, you didn't say exactly like this, but the president is not king. I was telling you, when people call me and they're concerned about what's going on and they feel like that this is a life or death situation, I try to explain to them that the government is supposed to pretty much function the same way no matter who's president, and the president's only one part of the picture of our system of checks and balances. But we've gotten to the point now where it's so divisive, and they use division to pit us against each other. I said earlier, it's not fair to the American people.
Well, I mean, Stalin said it best: you own the media, you own the masses. So there was a fight over time to control the media, to control the masses. I mean, we see influential people in our own history, like George Washington, talk about how the demise of American democracy was going to be the two-party system, and we see that. And it's not necessarily because it's going to be the demise of the country or our political system, but it is the demise of our cultural system. We see a required homogeny of cultures because of the two-party system. You're required to, for example, if you're a Republican and you're pro-choice, you're not a Republican. And who made that decision? The media did. The media ostracized any Republican that says I'm pro-choice. Well, I'm not pro-choice. I'm pro-life, but I understand what they do when they cast the shadow of doubt on a Republican for not fitting in the mold of this staunch, right-wing, Christian-based conservative group, which was actually kind of truncated into a Christian mold, with Barry Goldwater leading into Ronald Reagan. Now, Ronald Reagan did a lot of great things for our economy. I mean, he staved off a Great Depression economically. I mean, he pushed up interest rates to drive out inflation. It was masterful what Paul Volcker, his economist, did in the 80s. It really was. Calvin Coolidge did a similar thing in the early 1920s to prevent a depression in the 20s, which left it for Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his increased use of government funds, which perpetuated the Depression. But that's a whole other conversation. I could talk about that for days. And so when we go into these communities, they actually know this. But I think we've been trained to this two-party system that it causes a problem culturally, that we have to believe, like if you go into poor communities, a lot of poor communities are pro-lifers, but they vote down the Democrat ticket. The Democrat ticket promised to be there for them and improve their quality of life, decades ago, and
Right.
It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed anything. So, we need to get away from this two-party system, but we won't, because money.
Right.
Money always filters to a winner or a loser, and that's the way it's going to be.
That's the other thing I tell my friends when they call me and they're worried, and a lot of people are calling right now, is that they create this division and make you want to fight each other, so you'll have a cause, and your cause then becomes your donation. So then, once you sign that petition, for example, sign a petition because this is happening and you need to stop it. What you're really doing is you're signing up for a mailing list, start getting solicited for donations. So the more they can divide us, then the more donations they'll get, because the need is more dire.
Well, I don't remember who it was. It may have been Nancy Pelosi or Harry Reid, but what did they say? No conflict should go to waste, or no.
Right.
What was the colloquialism they used? And I don't remember. But
Don't let a good crisis go to waste.
That's what it was.
Right.
And that's true. That's what they do, and they use those crises to pit us against each other. I was listening to someone talk today, and they mentioned the COVID support funds. Why we haven't gotten another round of things, and the Republican pundit said, Pelosi can't get it passed, and the Democrat pundit said, well, Pelosi passed it twice in the House, but what Pelosi's doing is saying, look, I'm passing it for the people, but they're putting together a package that they know the Republicans will never accept, so they use that to pit each other against each other. And if they would just say, you know what, we know the Republicans won't accept this, and we won't accept not having this, but I'm sure we could get the Republicans to accept this, and if we give up a little of this, we could probably get something done. But neither party will get anything done because they don't want to let the other party get any credit for anything. So they'll devise a plan that makes them look like the champion, even though they know this will never get passed. It's almost like Stephen Palazzo's, his term limits bill that he passed 6 terms ago, that in the term limit bill he says, well, the term limits don't even start until this passes, so it's never going to pass. It will never get support. No congressman is ever going to give up his own job, to pass this bill. We don't have any principled
Matt Gaetz is for term limits, and so am I. Okay, so we've run a little bit over, and thank you for joining us. I want you to come back because we need to talk about your TV show.
Absolutely.
Be
happy to be there.
Robert's going to be the big time. I want to thank you for watching Sprout Central, and don't forget to join us next week when we continue on the Sprout journey, and we're going to bring on our first guest for the Sprout Garden next week. So join us Tuesdays at 10 a.m.
Audio Jungle.